All right, this is chapter 3, IM-1, grade repair test recovery. On the line where it says name, go ahead and write your name, your first and last name. And where it says teacher, you're going to write two names. I'm Mrs. Torkelson, so you're going to write my name. And then also write down the teacher that you have right now for math. So whether that's Mrs. Robinson, Mrs. Dew, Mr. New, Mr. Lopez, or Miss Rubio, any of those teachers, or myself if you have me, go ahead and write their name here. All right, so today's day one, we're going to start talking about transformations. So there are three different types of rigid transformations. When you perform a transformation, whether that's a rotation, reflection, or a translation, the size of the shape does not change. So it'll stay the same shape. The angle measures are the same and the side lengths are the same. So we are going to cover rotations, reflections, and translations. So a rotation is also known as a turn, a reflection is also known as a flip, and a translation is also known as a slide. And these are pictures over here just to refresh your memory if you weren't sure. All right, the first one that we're going to focus on, the first transformation, is going to be a translation, so where we slide something. So here I have this rectangle or this polygon, and what it's asking me to do is to move this one 4 units to the left, so 4 units to the left, and 5 units down. Okay, once I translate them, once I move them, the new points are going to be E prime, F prime, G prime, and H prime. So because we perform a transformation, we have to add the little apostrophe and we read that as prime, okay? And it tells you that right here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna move each of these coordinates 4 to the left and 5 down. All right, I'm gonna start with F. So 4 to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. This is F prime. I do that for every single one. So G, same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or 4 to the left, sorry, and then 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. This is G prime. Okay, for the E, 4 to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put a dot here. This is E prime. Then I'll do the same thing for H. 4 to the left and 5 down. This is H prime. Then I'm going to connect my dots to make my polygon. Okay, so this is the old one, and this is the new one. What we're going to do now is we're going to write the coordinates for the new one, where it asks us for each dot. So for E prime is now located at -2, 0. F prime is now located at 3, 0. G prime is now located at 3, -3. And H prime is now located at -2, -3. Okay, so just don't forget the little primes, little apostrophes, right? So when you retake your test, you want to make sure that you include the primes. Okay, perfect. What I would like you to do now is I would like you to pause the video here because I want you to try it on your own. You are going to move 6 units to the right, and you are going to move 2 units up. So that means you have these 3 dots, you're going to move them 6 units to the right and 2 units up. You're going to pause the video here so you can practice it by yourself, and then you're going to unpause and I will show you what it should look like and the new coordinates. Okay, so if you paused it and you tried it by yourself, I'm hoping you did, here is what you should have gotten for your new one. So I translated it 6 to the right and 2 up, and then you see how I included my primes? Then I put the new coordinates for those appropriate dots over here on the left. Okay, perfect. If you feel really good about that, we're going to go ahead and move on. All right, the second transformation that we're going to talk about is a reflection. A reflection is kind of like a flip, or you could also think of like looking in the mirror, right? Like that's a reflection. It's asking us to reflect over the y-axis. Okay, the y-axis is this. So what I think is really helpful is once I look at my pre-image or my old one, I'm going to write the coordinates of this triangle over here for the appropriate letter. So for A, I have -5, 2. For B, I have -2, 1. And for C, I have -3, 3. So those are the one for the left. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to reflect it. The best way I think to reflect it is to count how far away each dot is from the y-axis. So I'll start with A so I can show you. So I'm going to start with A and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It took me 5 spaces until I hit the y-axis. So therefore I'm going to count 5 in the other direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I end up right here. This is my new A prime. I can do the same process for B and for C. I'm going to count 2, 1, 2, and then 2 in the other direction, 1, 2. I'm going to put a dot here. This now becomes my B prime. Okay, I'm going to do the last thing for C. I'm going to count, see how far away I am, 1, 2, 3, and then same in the other direction, 1, 2, 3, put a dot there. This is C prime. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect them to make my triangle. I'm going to write those new coordinates over here on the right. So my A prime is going to be 5, 2. My B prime is going to be 2, 1. And my C prime is going to be 3, 3. So all I did was count how far away I was from my line of reflection and then count in the opposite direction to create my new image. All right, I hope you get started on the next one to try it, and then ultimately I'll have you try it by yourself. So here it says reflect over the line x equals 1. Okay, this one is tricky. X equals 1 is this line right here. So it's not the y-axis, it's not the x-axis, it's its own line. I'm going to write the pre-image coordinates, so the coordinates for the shape that I already have right here on the left. So for Q, that's at 1, 4. For R, that's at 2, 2. For S, that's at 3, 4. And for T, that's at 2, 5. Then what I'm going to do to create my new one is I'm going to count how far away these points are from the orange line that I have on my paper, the x equals 1. I'm going to draw my shape first on the left, and then I'll write the coordinates on the right. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to pause the video here so that you could try it by yourself, and then I'll show you the answer. All right, hopefully you tried it by yourself. This is what you should have gotten. So you'll notice that, let me zoom in a bit, Q and Q prime, you see how they're in the same spot on the line? That's okay. So the coordinates are going to be the same because Q was already on the line, so there was nothing to reflect. However, the other 3 points did have a reflection. So these are the new coordinates that you should have gotten for your image or your new one. Okay, perfect. If you feel good about that, we're going to move on to rotations. Alright, rotations out of the 3 transformations is probably the trickiest one just because you have to keep in mind degrees. And so when you turn, you can turn in 2 directions. You can turn either to the right, which is clockwise, or you could turn to the left, which is counterclockwise. each turn is 90 degrees, and that's dictated by this picture right here. So each turn is 90 degrees. So if I start here, one turn is 90. Two turns is 180 degrees. Three turns is 270 degrees, and four turns is a full 360 degrees. Okay, that's what this represents. This 1, 2, 3, 4. These are also your quadrants. All right, so let's look at some examples on the next page that require rotations. All right, so if I look at example 3, it's asking me for the type of transformation. In order to go from this one to this one, I'm starting with the lower one. The reason I know that is because the lower one does not have the primes. You see how the upper one does have the little apostrophes? That's how I know this one is new. Here, I can write that in my picture. And this is old. This transformation is a rotation. When you are rotating, you can go clockwise or counterclockwise. It really does not matter. So clockwise is to the right and counterclockwise is to the left. I'll do an example of each just so that you can see both. So for this one, I will go clockwise. So I will go clockwise. Okay, I'm going to circle this one. Your center of rotation is always the origin or the point 0, 0. The origin is right in the middle, right here. This is your origin, so I like to draw a plus sign here. So your center of rotation is right here in the middle, which is at 0, 0. Okay, let me go grab some patty paper. I'll be right back. All right, to rotate, you can rotate without patty paper, but I think it is helpful to have it. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to trace my old one, which is this triangle. Okay, and I'm going to put my center of rotation. A turn is where my triangle looks, where my plus sign looks like a plus sign again, where my center of rotation lines up in the same spot again. Okay, so because I'm going clockwise, I'm turning to the right. I'm going to put my pencil in the middle and turn my patty paper to the right. So you see how it looks like a plus sign again? That's one turn. Okay, I'm going to turn it again. So it looks like a plus sign. That's two turns. It took 2 times to turn it for it to look like the new one. So because this was 2 turns is the same as 180 degrees. I know that from the previous page. Okay, I'll try this one with you. Okay, this is also a rotation. Because last time I went clockwise, this time I'm going to go counterclockwise. Okay, that means I'm going to the left. So I'm going to go counterclockwise. Your center of rotation is the same every single time, so it's always at 0, 0. If I'm looking at my 2 triangles, the one that does not have the apostrophes, the one that does not have the primes, so this one is the old one. This is the new one. Okay, so here's my center. Put my dot right in the middle. I'm going to trace the old one, and I'm going to trace my plus sign. So here, let me trace this first. Then I'll trace my plus sign. Counterclockwise is to the left, so I'm going to see how many turns it takes for me to get to the left. So a turn is when it looks like a plus sign again. So that was 1 turn. You see how it lines up perfectly with the new one? So it only took 1 turn this time. So for my degrees, this is 1 turn, and 1 turn was 90 degrees. Remember, you can also turn in the other direction. So if you wanted to go clockwise, it would be a different number of turns. So you could go either way. All right, the last thing that we're going to talk about today is line symmetry. Line symmetry means that you can divide your shape or your figure into two congruent halves. And so here I have some shapes or some pictures in front of me, and I want to see if any of them have any line symmetry. Okay, so I'm going to go with my pen, and I'm going to start marking. Okay, I know I can draw a line like this. That cuts my shape in half. Sometimes it helps to turn your paper. So if I turn my paper, I'm trying to see if I can draw it anywhere else where it'll look the same on both halves. So I'm just turning my paper to see if that'll help me. And to be honest, I think that's the only line that I can draw. So here, I only have one line. Okay, let me try the heart. I can draw a line straight through the middle. But here's the thing, I cannot draw a line like this because the top and the bottom are not the same. So I can't draw lines like that. It has to be the same wherever I draw my line. So this one is also one line. Okay, let me look at this like plus sign over here. Well, I know I can go straight down the middle like this. And I think I can also go sideways like this. But I want all of them. So here, maybe let me turn my paper because that might help me. Now it kind of looks like an X. I can draw a line like this. Okay, let me keep turning. Okay. Now it looks like an X again. I can draw a line like this. So this shape, this polygon, has 4 lines. Okay, now I'm going to try that last one. Kind of looks like a flower. I know I can draw a line straight up and down, like this, through the middle, and left to right. I'm going to turn my paper and see if that helps me in any way. Oh, okay, this still kind of looks like a flower. I could draw a line that looks like this. Okay, I'm going to keep turning and see if that helps me at all. Then I'm going to draw a line like this. So this one also has 4. So I'm going to write 4 lines here. All right, what I would like you to try is I would like you to try the 3 at the bottom. So like the spiral, the hexagon, and the oval. Draw the lines through each one and then write how many lines you drew through each one. Pause the video so you can work on it. And then once you have it, unpause so I can show you the correct answers. All right, so for the 3 at the bottom, you should have gotten 0 lines. You have no symmetry here. Wherever I draw a line, it won't be the same on both sides. So this one is 0. For the hexagon, you have 6, which is a lot. I would recommend keep turning your paper until you make a full circle. I think that helps a lot. And for the oval, there are only 2, straight up and down and left and right. All right, so that is all for today. We're going to stop here and then we'll pick up tomorrow for the next video.